Okay, good evening friends. So we were talking about dichotomy and dualism in geography. Dichotomies and dualism in geography. And I hope I was able to explain you what is dichotomy and dualism. Basic idea you must have got. So what we'll do, we'll write few words on what is dichotomy and dualism. So we are going to talk about dichotomy and dualism. So I'll be dictating you few things here. So please write. Can we start with this? Yes or no? Okay. So please start writing. You write dichotomy and dualism refers to refer to methodological debate over various issues that may exist in any discipline. And bring out change and evolution in the discipline. Okay. So what we are saying here, that it is basically what? It is a methodological debate over various issues that are existing in any discipline, and this debate, what it does, it brings out change and evolution in the discipline. Okay. Now see, very importantly here, I have dictated you one statement, and the statement was long statement, but can you see here what I have done? These are the keywords of the statement. Can you understand what I am saying here? These are the main keywords of the statement that you have to remember, that you have to memorize. Rest of the statement you can write by yourself in your own language, but these are the keywords which should be there. Okay. And some of you sometimes ask me that do we have to make our notes, our own handwritten notes? It depends upon person to person. I would suggest no. Already the notes which have been given and what we are jotting in the class would be enough. Once you have reached to the level of maturity where you have revised it many times, then what you can do, you can just jot down, take one copy and jot down the keywords, and one topic should not take more than one, and maximum one means one side of the page and maximum the second side of the page. It should not take more than that. If you can make notes like this type of notes are useful for the exam. Okay. And again here is an indication how such notes can be made. ठीक है. Okay, further we will write, in the process of such debate, comma, concepts may be refined, comma, some may be discarded, comma, and some may be conformed. Full stop. Overall, such a debate in a discipline is a healthy sign of its development. ठीक है. So can you understand now? This is first thing we have written, general thing about dichotomy dualism. So change the paragraph now. Change the paragraph. You write, in geography, dualism and dichotomy lie in its approach, comma, subject matter as well as methodology. So if you remember, in the last class we already saw, this is what we are saying here, that in geography dichotomy dualism is lying in approach, subject matter and as well as the methodology of geography. So everywhere we are finding in geography there is dichotomy and dualism. ठीक है. Change the paragraph. Just 1 minute. यार एक चीज़ बता, एलएस से कोई भी कमेंट्स नहीं आ रहे. सुधांशु से पूछो कि वो चल रहा है कि नहीं चल रहा है. Okay, so that is basically about just a general thing about dichotomy dualism. So what we said that we talked about all these things, that dichotomy and dualism essentially is what? It is a methodological debate over various issues which can be there in a discipline, and it brings change and evolution in the discipline. And what it is doing, in the process of this debate, many concepts may be refined, some may be totally discarded, and if you talk about, some may be even conformed. Overall, what we said, okay, thank you, LS group, thank you. I was worried because nobody was writing, so I thought maybe I am visible or not. Okay. So what we said that such a debate is essentially what? Such a debate is a healthy sign of the development of a discipline. If there is no debate taking place, then what will happen? It is very obvious that the phenomena or that whatever that discipline, even you can understand this is applicable for even society. Today many people are fighting for democracy in India, and they are talking about that why we don't have the right to criticize, because logical criticism is essentially what it is, very important for development of any society, any country, any discipline as well. Because as we said before, knowledge is endless. If we have all the knowledge, definitely then we'll become God. Okay? So that is what here we are also saying, that if such a healthy debate exists, it is very good sign for the development of a discipline. And we are saying that in geography, this dichotomy dualism has been lying in its subject matter, in its approach and its methodology. Now next we'll write, change the paragraph. Normally the term dichotomy and dualism have been interchangeably used in geography. Interchangeably used in geography to refer to a controversy, or difference in view over an issue. Full stop. So what we are saying, that in geography, geographers have been very commonly using these terms dichotomy, dualism very as interchangeable terms. And you might have seen, some of you might have read the books like Savinder Singh Majid Hussain or other books, and you might have seen this tendency to not differentiate between what is dichotomy and dualism. Have you seen that? किसी ने देखा है? Primary reason for that is that geographers don't have training in philosophy. And when we are referring to dichotomy dualism, essentially we are talking about the philosophical terms. That is why for them it is more like synonym for many geographers. आगे लिखो, full stop. However, there are subtle differences. Between these two terms. Full stop. Dichotomy is a situation where two different or two opposing ideas are radically different and cannot coexist within a system. Radically different and cannot coexist within a system. Full stop. On the other hand, dualism is a situation where two differing views two differing views or viewpoints, two differing viewpoints can coexist and bring about a healthy debate full stop. Change the paragraph. Change the paragraph. The root of such difference, Rohisha is saying, can you please repeat this paragraph from start? Rohisha, it would be difficult because this whole thing will take lots of time. So please watch the video. If something is left out, you have the option of video. Okay. So the root of such difference between these two terms can be found in the theory of knowledges. And if you want to write in theory of knowledges, you can write epistemology. What we call it as the theory of knowledges, it is referred to as the epistemology. ठीक है, full stop. Epistemology, or according to epistemology, there are two different views, or there are two different perspectives of looking at a phenomena, that is the realist and anti-realist perspectives. Full stop. The realist perspective is essentially objective, scientific and believes that external reality is the only truth, as it can be verified by the senses. Senses, you know, body have senses, we can sense things. So as it can be verified by senses, full stop. On the other hand, comma, anti-realism sees everything as subjective. Everything as subjective, full stop. It believes that reality is internal, as whatever we see is mediated by our mental filters, which in turn are guided by our value system. Full stop. Since every individual or group have their own value systems, comma, such realist generalizations are faulty and reductionist, and reduce knowledge to cause effect relationship. Full stop. Thus, they argue for a more subjective way of understanding any phenomena. Subjective way of understanding any phenomena. Okay. So this already we have talked about. What is the difference between realism and anti-realism? Alvin here is asking. Anti-realism, realist and idealist same. Idealism is one type of anti-realism. There are many forms of anti-realism within idealism. Okay, same thing we'll see. Within realism also there would be number of approaches. Yes, anti-realism believe that our cultural phenomena determines what we see, and thus we should understand first the cultural phenomena and then we can understand the reality. Okay, change the paragraph. Right? Geographers have been drawing geographers have been drawing from this basic distinction in the theory of knowledges, that has existed since the time of Kant. Since the time of Kant. Change the paragraph. And you write a heading here, and heading is history of dichotomy and dualism in geography. So you write dualistic and dichotomous tendencies within geography were first identified by whom? Verenius in the classical period. First identified by Verenius in the classical period. Full stop. He saw that such tendencies in geography have existed since ancient times. Full stop. For example, majority of Greco-Roman geographers were systematic and physical. Geographers. Physical geographers. Full stop. On the other hand, Strabo, we have already seen Strabo. Strabo concentrated on study of humans or study of human cultures. While developing a distinct chorographical writings distinct chorographical writings. Full stop. Such dichotomy and dualism was also present during the medieval period. As Al-Biruni became the Strabo of the Arabic period or medieval period. Full stop. Again change the paragraph. In the classical period, Varenius identified two dichotomies / dualism which existed in geography. Full stop. These were physical versus human geography, and general versus special geography. Full stop. He himself show leaning towards physical and systematic geographies. Full stop. Later in the classical period, the emergence of Kant and his advocacy for geography as an exceptional discipline further strengthened such dichotomous and dualistic tendencies in geography. Full stop. Change the paragraph. In the pre-modern period, In the pre-modern period, Humboldt and Ritter became two poles of development of geography. Two poles of development of geography. Development of geography. Full stop. Humboldt's systematic physical geography studied through inductive method clearly contradicted with Ritter's regional geography, arrived through deductive methodology. Clearly contradicted Ritter's regional geography, arrived through deductive methodology. Deductive methodology. Change the paragraph again. During the modern period, dichotomies and dualisms in geography further became manifest with emergence of German and French school of thoughts. Full stop. German school led by Ratzel became symbol of determinism philosophy. While French school guided by Vidal acknowledged possibilism as the main theme of geography, or as the main approach of geography. Change the paragraph again. In the early 20th century, comma, these dualistic and dichotomous tendencies engulfed the American and Russian school of thoughts. School of thoughts. Full stop. For example, in the American school, before the First World War, environmental determinism led by Semple was in stark contrast to the ideas of Isaiah Bowman. We have seen who favored possibilism. Full stop. After the First World War, this difference between determinism and possibilism was reflected in the philosophies of areal differentiation, and when you are writing areal differentiation, write in bracket Hartshorne. Areal differentiation and cultural determinism. Respectively. So cultural determinism के बाद ब्रैकेट में you write Karl Sawyer respectively. Full stop. Similarly, in the Russian school, dichotomy and dualism can be seen. In the debates between determinism versus indeterminism. Indeterminism is also referred to as economic determinism. Determinism versus indeterminism and physical versus economic, that is human geography. ठीक है. So that is how dichotomy dualism has developed. Change the paragraph, few more words will write. With the emergence of quantitative revolution, with the emergence of quantitative revolution, in 1950s, these dichotomies and dualisms became less apparent. Full stop. Since then, there has been less talk. There has been less talk of dichotomies and dualisms in geography. Dichotomies and dualisms in geography. Full stop. Despite this silence, it is important to understand that geography is a human science. Geography is a human science. Full stop. Like human lives are full of dichotomies and dualisms. So is geography. Full stop. This is the reason dichotomies and dualisms never die and resurface again. Full stop. For example, in the late 1980s, the dichotomies between physical and human geography or dichotomies and dualism, you write dichotomy and dualism between physical and human geography, as well as spatial and temporal geography. Spatial and temporal or historical geography. Resurfaced again. Resurfaced again. Full stop. Emergence of environmentalism. Emergence of environmentalism provided a bridge through which these contradictions became dormant. Contradictions became dormant in the late 90s. Late 90s. Full stop. Since then, geography has been behaving as a discipline guided by a single approach based on environmentalism. Full stop. Environmentalism has provided a ground or fertile ground, where the promise of synthesis between these approaches can be achieved in future. ठीक है. So this is what basically we can write about the dichotomy and dualism, how it has developed in geography. Jubilee is asking, sir, what about British school? We didn't include British school because British school had its own way and it was not like contradicting with any other school of thought. Within British school there were contradictions. Okay, so we'll leave that because here we were focusing on a specific issue. We could have mentioned about British school. Within British school we saw some were possibilistic, some were determinists. ठीक है. So you could, if there was space, you could have mentioned, but there was no need because already we have exceeded so many words. ठीक है. So this is how you will essentially talk about the, if there is a general question on what is dichotomy dualism, it would be in these. ठीक है. Now moving on to the first dichotomy dualism that we will be talking about today, and this first dichotomy dualism is determinism versus possibilism. determinism versus possibilism. ठीक है? So can we start? Determinism versus possibilism. If you have to ask anything, you can ask me before I start. Very important topic. So many places we'll see that it would be utilized even outside perspectives in human geography. Okay. There is, Yogesh is saying syllabus में possibilism नहीं है, only determinism is there. syllabus में determinism भी नहीं है. कहाँ है syllabus में determinism? Where you have seen? मुझे भी दिखा दो syllabus. Okay. So if we talk about, I have already talked about same thing like realism, anti-realism. We can see that there are two poles when it comes to the understanding the relationship between human and nature, human and environment. So this determinism and possibilism dichotomy is where what approach we should be taking within geography in dealing with the relationship between human and environment. So either we take an approach, either we take an approach where we say that environment is superior to humans, or we take an approach where we say that humans are superior to environment, or somewhere in the middle. ठीक है? So if we talk about, here is the philosophy of determinism and here is the philosophy of voluntarism. Philosophy of voluntarism. Marshi Kant is asking, can we specifically differentiate periods with dichotomous and dualism dominating separately? We already did that. Yesterday we saw early modern and the intermediate modern period was the period when dual paradigmatic phase was found. That was the period when dichotomy dualism was at its peak. So already हमने देखा है. Okay, coming back to this determinism and possibilism. So as we have seen, determinism is essentially what? Determinism is, in simple terms, I would say it is absence of free will. Absence of free will. ठीक है? On the other hand, voluntarism is where humans have total control over life, have total control over their destiny. ठीक है? Total control over their destiny. So that is what we mean by determinism and what we mean by voluntarism. So again, you can understand, we have already talked about this, that both these are too much extreme viewpoints. You cannot say that there is total absence of free will. You also cannot say that we have total control over our destinies. Again, it is like too much extreme viewpoint. Reality, however, lies where? Reality lies somewhere in between these two extremes. So I am going to make one diagram where you can understand that actually there are a number of names which are associated with determinism and possibilism. So you should know about them. where they lie in this continuum. ठीक है. So if we talk about like here I would place your environmental determinism. Environmental determinism. So do you remember environmental determinism, where environment is controlling everything? ठीक है. Now if you talk about, I can even talk about other forms of determinism, like for example, tell me, can I say before there was like other type of philosophies, like you can see that if you go in the past, there were philosophies like theocracy, which ultimately converted later on in the Renaissance as theology. Yes or no? In a way, religion is what? It is highly deterministic. Everything God is deciding, and we are like puppets. So theocracy, theology is essentially what? It was determinist. And if I have to suppose place these theocracy and theology, I would be placing more near to this extreme viewpoint. Environmental determinism, do you remember that even in the environmental determinism, there was Semple, who at least she talked about the Anglo-Saxons of the Kentucky mountain. Do you remember that? She talked about the Anglo-Saxons of the Kentucky mountain. ठीक है. But in theocracy, it is like everything is essentially controlled by God. So I'll put it more towards this determinism. ठीक है. Fully उसको determinism नहीं बनवा रहा हूँ, because you know there has been, even in religions, there has been like philosophies where when you talk about when you become too much bhakt, and ultimately you do very what we call in Hindi as घनघोर tapasya of God. You worship God very seriously, then maybe God becomes happy and ultimately it gives you your will, whatever you want. ले दे दिया तेरे को, जो करना है कर. So something like that. So you know, like in Hindu philosophy also, there was things like they became, some of them, they became so much, they made God so much happy that God ने उनको खुशी खुशी में इतना खुश हो गया God की, बोला कि जा तेरी कभी मृत्यु ही नहीं होगी, you'll never die. So such type of things have existed even in religion. So इसलिए I am not putting it at the extreme end, but it is too much extreme philosophy. So there is lies the environmental determinism. If I have to put others, if you talk about, like I can put here would be my Ratzel's. What was the Ratzel's idea? His new or scientific determinism. Ratzel's new or scientific determinism. ठीक है, we have already seen, याद है हमने बात किया था how Ratzel writing was, he always he was not fully conclusive in his writings. His writings were more indicative. He always left scope in his writing for some possibilism, and that was, we saw that that was the thing which motivated Vidal to ultimately propound possibilism. So there I will put Ratzel. Then if I have to put here, I would be putting some others, like here I would put the neo-determinism philosophy. Neo-determinist philosophies would be put here. Again, not exactly at the middle. ठीक है. So that is basically the case of main philosophies, the most famous ones which you should be knowing about. So are we clear about this one? Tell me fast. Then if you talk about possibilism, in possibilism I can place many of them. So more near to here I will place one philosophy which we call it as probabilism, and probabilism was given by O.H.K. Spate. O.H.K. Spate. So Spate was of the view that some possibilities have more chance of becoming reality than the other. ठीक है, more chance of becoming reality than the other. So when you are bringing chance, chance is what? It is outside our control. We cannot control chance or luck. So again he is giving power to some kind of mysterious force. Okay? So again his probabilism would be lying here, and very near to him would be placed Vidal's possibilism. Okay? In fact, not only Vidal's, if you remember we talked about Jean Brunhes, possibilism of Jean Brunhes. Okay? So I would be placing it here. Then if you talk about very near to it, again I will place cultural determinism. Cultural determinism of whom? Carl Sawyer. Carl Sawyer would be put here. Okay, so they are very near. We can even place them together. All of them were comparatively more balanced. But when it comes to the idea of possibilism which was given by Jean Brunhes, Lucien Febvre. So I'll put possibilism of Lucien Febvre here. So here lies the possibilism of Lucien Febvre, and we'll see that what he did, he gave an extreme viewpoint to possibilism. And again here we will be placing, in fact थोड़ा सा इसको और इधर ही कर देते हैं, it would be better, and very near to it I will be placing the indeterminism or the economic determinism of Russian school, of the Russian school. ठीक है. So remember this. अभी हम इसको discussion करेंगे all of these, and you'll better understand that. But remember this picture, this chart, this diagram that we are drawing here. ठीक है. So now I am moving on, and I am going to start with first philosophy, that is determinism. So very important thing when we are talking about determinism, first I will talk about, here I will talk about the general meaning of determinism, and then I will talk about the geographical meaning. Meaning of determinism. ठीक है? This is very very important, and this is where the confusion arises among the students. ठीक है? So इसको बहुत, you just listen to this with lots of focus. Even if you feel sleepy, even if you feel boring, no problem. Take a drink water, whatever you do. I don't care. Okay. So when we are talking about determinism, determinism is what? General meaning of determinism is there is absence of free will. That means we don't have any will to determine our destiny. That means simply what? It means that humans' destiny is determined by some external force. It is determined by some external force. Okay, you can understand this external force can be many things, like we have seen that these external forces can be God. This external force can be, as we have seen, it can be environment. This external force can also be other things like parameters of environment. If you remember, climate हमने देखा था. This external force can also be, if I talk about individual, tell me, if I treat myself as individual, can I say there is difference between individual and collective? Yes or no? Is there difference between individual and collective? You might have seen in your families, you must have experienced this, and many of you might be also victims of this difference between individual and collectives. So many of you, I know, are half-hearted engineers. You didn't knew what is engineering or anything. You were ultimately forced to do engineering. Maybe if you would have given choice, you would have chosen some other field maybe. So that is the difference between the individual and the collective. So tell me, can I say this external force can also be collective, like culture? Yes or no? Like culture? It can also be like culture. We'll see, we'll take examples. Abhi dekhenge. And out of culture, I can take other things, like one aspect of culture is economic. Can also be economic force which is determining my activity. Today in the era of capitalism, we'll see. Yes, it can be political determinism. उसको हम ऐसे लिख सकते हैं, structural determinism. ठीक है, so it can be structure as well. ठीक है, so it can be many things. And remember, I am still not talking about geographical determinism. I am talking about which determinism? General. What is the meaning of this term? Generally, what is the meaning of the term determinism? So human's destiny is determined by some external force. That is determinism. Now tell me, when we are talking about external force, that means what happens? Can I say, thus, can we here reach to a conclusion that reality is external? Yes or no? Here reality is becoming external because internal hai nahi. We don't have our own mind, there is no such filter, etc. Even if someone is forcing, even if God is forcing, we don't have our mind and we are doing. ठीक है? So can I say here external force is, if it is determining, everything for us, we are just like machines, we are just like puppets. And reality is existing where? Reality is existing outside ourselves, outside our bodies. That means reality is what? It is external. So can I say that it is essentially a form of or manifestation of realism? Yes or no? Tell me. Isn't it isn't it a manifestation of realism in a way? Yes or no? बताओ मुझे फटाफट. Come on yaar. Surjit, you should watch previous videos. You'll understand. I think you have joined late, so that is why you are not understanding many things. Shashwat, again, we have so much talked about what is realism. If I go back, you will be ashamed because that means you have not revised. This is what we talked yesterday about realism. Realism is objective way. Here I wrote very, very big. Reality is external and objective. Yes or no? So you should be feeling ashamed little bit because you didn't revise. This means. Okay. So reality here becomes what? It becomes external because we are nothing, we are zero. There is no mind filter, nothing existing. So someone like pulling our strings from outside and we are just working according to that. Thus it becomes what? Thus it is manifestation of realism. Now tell me, if we are, this means what it is saying, we are governed by external force. That is what we are saying. We are governed by external force. So if we are governed by the external force, tell me, can I say that means there is some law existing outside? Some law existing outside in external world which is governing us. Which is governing us. Yes or no? There is some kind of law. Like for example, if our population increases beyond certain level, beyond the carrying capacity, what will happen? There would be misery, there will be problems. So it is what? It is a kind of law. And this law is essentially related with what? It is outside our body. It is external. ठीक है? So that is one thing. Now if this law is, there is some kind of law which is existing, tell me, can I say this law can be discovered? Can be discovered. This law can be discovered and used to explain human activity. Tell me, yes or no, true or false? This law can be discovered and used to explain human activity. Obviously yes. ठीक है. Now if this is the case, can I say determinism thus promotes scientific approach, because that is what science is saying also. हमने देखा है, this is what science is saying. Determinism is doing what? Thus it is promoting scientific approach. ठीक है. Maybe before Renaissance determinism was not scientific, it was not rational. But we know after Renaissance the society became more rational. Thus everything had to be explained, cause effect. So after that, tell me, can I say determinism would have become scientific? ठीक है. So thus what is the essence of determinism? From here we can go to the essence of determinism, that there is a cause and this cause is ultimately having an effect. This cause has an effect, and this cause lies where? This cause lies where? This cause lies in the external domain. तुम लोग ये ऑलमाइटी और उसमें फालतू की चीज़ों में पढ़ के अभी डिबेट जो कर रहे हो, and you are just missing out on what we are talking about. Forget it यार. I will come to that. I will explain that. Just put your question, वहाँ stop हो जाओ. It is already very complicated, and just by overthinking you are doing what, you are more complicating it. थोड़ा सा wait कर लो. With the classes as they have went on, you must have understood, your understanding every day would have been improving. I know this very well. Even if you so say to the contrary. So just have some patience. All things would become clear to you. Okay, because आज देखो मैं इसलिए बोलता हूँ, because actually I am a teacher who always has this habit of trying to find out whether my students have actually understood this or not. ठीक है, this is my attitude. When I was teaching in normal class, the faces of the students could say that, and because of that the speed of the class was not affected. Here I have to rely on what you are writing. ठीक है, and many times what it does, it just interrupts the class, it just slows down the class. Many times I find that you people are also taking on ego. ठीक है, and don't have ego with a teacher. Teacher's intentions are very good for you and very noble for you. He wants very good things for you. Okay. So what we are saying, determinism, what is the essence of determinism? It is cause effect. Here, cause effect relationship. ठीक है, and cause is something which is lying outside the individual, outside the body of the individual. ठीक है, इतनी बात समझ में आ गई? This general thing about determinism. ठीक है. Now coming to what your confusion is about Almighty etc. The thing is, this is a very high contradiction actually, which is of science. Okay. So initially science and religion were very similar in nature, because both of them believed in determinism. That was the common thing. That is the common thing among them. ठीक है. Later on, science tried to show that we are different. We are not philosophical like religion. But in both of them, one thing you will be finding very common, that is this extreme determinism, the neglect of what is the individual in both of them. That is the core. Obviously, when we are talking about determinism, all these terms emerged in the period which was after Renaissance. And by that time, clearly you can understand that the influence of religion had faded. It was fading, in fact, at least in the academics. So when I am saying here determinism, and when I am just giving you an idea that how religion is deterministic, it is just for the purpose of comparison. I never said that religion can be like this defined, or you can find the cause. I just compared religion, how religion is highly deterministic, because it makes us forget the individual. That is the essence of determinism, that there is no individual which exists. It is all, reality is what? External. ठीक है. Now, I hope you have got the essence of determinism. This is essentially, this is the final essence of determinism. So tell me, after Renaissance, has the determinism, how it would have developed? Can I say we can call it as also essentially determinism would always be scientific? Yes or no? Will it be scientific? So the deterministic philosophies which have developed later on, can they all be grouped under simply we can call them as scientific determinism, or simply determinism? And why I am using here scientific determinism? Because here I am differentiating the determinism which was before Renaissance. Determinism which was before Renaissance, it was religion, and it was not based upon cause-effect relationship. ठीक है. But determinism which developed after the Renaissance period, it was essentially scientific in nature. So whenever we are referring the word determinism, tell me, what is the picture that should come to your mind? Determinism is always scientific. 1. 2, that this picture, it always tries to establish cause-effect relationship, and reality becomes what? In fact, here cause is always external. That is why we said absence of free will. There is no individual. यहां तक समझ में आ गया? Tell me. Okay. Now moving on. Now coming to further about determinism. So tell me, suppose if I say this is your determinism, or I am simply writing scientific determinism. scientific determinism. Can I say that here I can talk about, this is suppose environment, or I can take here as culture, economy, or structure, politics, whatever you say. ठीक है. So can I say that this is essentially what? This is your environmental determinism. Environmental determinism. Can you understand this? Where we are trying to understand, we are using the principles of environment to understand why people are behaving, why people are doing something, why people are acting the way they are. Okay? When I am using principles of environment, when I believe that the law exists where? In the environment, that is the physical environment. So can you grasp what is environmental determinism? Yes or no? Tell me fast. Because here we are trying to find the cause where? In the environment. Here lies the cause. On the other hand, when we are trying to find the cause not in the environment, we are trying to find the cause in culture, economy, or structure. Even I can write more things, like for example, I can talk about history. So can I say here I can talk about number of things: cultural determinism, or economic determinism, or structural determinism, or historical determinism. ठीक है. So why I am, suppose you might have seen sometimes many social activists, and they would be standing for the criminals. Today we are debating that there should be absence of capital punishment. So why we are debating? Because we believe that individuals, when they are born, they are innocent. It is the culture, it is the society, it is the economic factors, it is the historical factors which make them the way they are. Okay? So they are fighting for what? They are fighting for that individual. They are fighting because they are trying to say that it was not in their control. Many things were out of their control. If a child is born and in a slum and he is being abused every day, beaten, so many bad things happening to the child, can I say that child, he or she would lose faith from humanity? It is but natural. And tomorrow if that child grows up and does some crime, there is an argument, there is a clear argument that when the society was doing crime against that child, or when that child was suffering those crimes, then where was the society? Why society didn't come to the rescue? In fact, society is collective. So the crime which was done, it was done by the collective. ठीक है. So can you understand the difference between environmental determinism and cultural determinism? Both are determinism. And why both are determinism? Tell me, why both are determinism? Environmental determinism, cultural determinism, economic determinism, structural determinism, historical determinism. Why all of these we are calling them as determinism? Anyone? Because yes, they make the forget the individual. These are the causes are external. Causes are either lying in environment or culture, economy, structure or history, whatever. The culture is lying there. ठीक है. अब इतनी बात समझ में आ गई. Now let us see. Go further. Now we are going to talk about determinism in geography. Determinism in geography. ठीक है. Determinism in geography has been used in two sense. अभी मैंने ये दोनों सेंस बताया. The most famous way in which it has been used is it has been used as environmental determinism. Environmental determinism. On the other hand, it has also been used by these, where I am just writing culture is a very big term. So you should understand that everything I wrote there, it was part of the cultural determinism. Or I'll write to clarify actually. Cultural, economic, structural, etc. determinism. ठीक है. So it has been used in geography in two ways: environmental determinism and cultural, economic, structural determinism. And both of them, these are what? Scientific. Both of them trying to establish what? Some kind of cause-effect relationship. ठीक है. अब इतनी बात समझ में आ गई. अब देखो, where the confusion arises when we are talking about this. The confusion arises because most of the time in the syllabus also or books, leave the syllabus, books of geography, what they are doing, they are just writing determinism versus possibilism. Determinism versus possibilism. Ideally, what should have been written? Tell me. Ideally, what should have been written? कोई बता सकता है? Ideally, it should have been written environmental determinism versus possibilism. Environmental determinism versus possibilism. Because possibilism हमने क्या देखा था? Vidal developed possibilism as a reaction to environmental determinism. ठीक है, as a reaction to environmental determinism, where it was stressed that everything is being controlled by environment, and this rigid and mechanistic type of relationship which was tried to be established by environmental determinism school was not liked by Vidal, because he believed that there is a kind of balance in the relationship. ठीक है. So whenever we are using the word possibilism, what should reflect in my mind? Tell me. Wherever I am using the word possibilism, my comparison of possibilism should be with determinism or environmental determinism. It should always be compared with environmental determinism. ठीक है? In geography, what geographers have done, they have loosely used this environmental determinism term as determinism. They have been loosely used determinism to signify environmental determinism. ठीक है? That is why the confusion, so much books when you are reading or text when you are reading. अभी हम देखते हैं. So loosely used the term determinism to signify environmental determinism. Why? Because simply, tell me, can I say geography, particularly human geography, what is the scope, subject matter of geography? Can I say it is human and environment relationship? Isn't it? It is study of human environment relationship. That is why environmental determinism was famously referred as geographical determinism. As geographical determinism. ठीक है? इतनी बात समझ में आ गई? So ideally books, writers, geographers should have been using geographical determinism or environmental determinism term. But determinism became so associated with environmental determinism in geography, or this geographical determinism, that they forgot to use the full term. ठीक है? So it is like, for example, if you meet someone, एक person से हम मिले, so initially what will happen? We'll just, it is not about rigidity, Jubilee. It is something like, suppose if I meet somebody, so maybe I will be using his full name. I will be using his full name. ठीक है? But when I become so much friend with that person, tell me, will I normally use his full name? Yes or no? I become so much familiar with that person, so much friendly with that person, I will, maybe I will not use full name. हो सकता है कि वो उसका जैसे my name is Himanshu Sharma. So some of my friends call me Himma. उनसे हिमांशु भी नहीं बोला जाता. So same thing happened in geography. Because determinism in geography became so much associated with environmental determinism that it literally, determinism meant environmental determinism. ठीक है? ये बात समझ में आ गई? So whenever we are using the word determinism, normally in geography, it would refer to environmental determinism. Particularly when we are using possibilism, when we are talking about possibilism, possibilism is always comparative with environmental determinism. ठीक है, अब आगे देखो इसमें. Now, this would clear your confusion. At many places, if you look into, we said that cultural determinism, economic determinism, structural determinism, these are type of possibilism. They are a kind of possibilism. Yes or no? हमने बोला Carl Sawyer, he developed the philosophy of cultural determinism and thus was more oriented towards possibilism. ठीक है? So can you understand now why, despite we are using the term, despite being this term determinism being used, still we are calling it as possibilism? Why in this chart which I made here, in this I was talking about economic determinism, I was talking about cultural determinism, but I was putting it on the side of possibilism, voluntarism side. Can you get now? And I hope with this you'll not be confused when you are reading. When we are saying cultural determinism, it simply implies that human activities would be scientifically explained, or at least scientifically tried to be explained through the cultural phenomena. ठीक है? Or if I am saying economic determinism, I am just trying to establish what? Cause and effect relationship between the activities of human and the economic factors. ठीक है, इतनी बात समझ में आ गई. Cultural determinism is internal, then we'll talk about that later. It is a debate for later on. We'll talk about that. Abhi just the gist which I am trying to explain you, just try to understand that. ठीक है. So I hope this much is clear to you why we were calling them as determinism, but we were putting them on the possibilism side. ठीक है. Normally when in the exam UPSC is asking you questions, you see the questions. Normally UPSC has also done the same mistake which many geographers have done, and it is not a mistake, it is a tradition in geography. We cannot say it is a mistake, because a geographer actually understands. Naive people who don't know geography, they will not understand. So essentially it is not a mistake. So same thing has been done by UPSC. Wherever you see the questions which have been asked previously about determinism, they are not specifically mentioning environmental determinism. Most of the time they are talking about, they are just loosely using the term determinism. Okay, but whenever possibilism is compared, it should always be the basis of it should always be compared with environmental determinism. ठीक है, इतनी बात समझ में आ गई. Okay, now let us move on. So let us see. Determinism is a way of thinking that assumes one situation is determined by logically and chronologically prior cause. There is already an existing law. Chronologically prior, that means there is already an existing logical law is there, and we are just being determined by that law. यही देखा था अभी हमने. It is an approach to explanation which has deep theological roots. ठीक है, actually initially determinism was present where? In religion, but one that has become integral to the most conventional form of scientific inquiry. It is a paradox, but it is true. So, it originated actually from religion, but today it is base of science. In simple words, the philosophy of determinism emphasizes the absence of free will. That is, internal reality does not determine human activities, but the external realities do. ठीक है? Determinism is a general philosophy which has been acquired by geographers in two forms. ठीक है? And first, it has been referred to as environmental determinism, which is a form of, यहाँ geological आ गया, इसको geographical कर लो. It is not geological, it is geographical. It is a mistake, typing error. It is a form of geographical study emphasizing how natural environment shapes in the shape of climate, natural environment which can be climate, landforms, rivers, forests, etc. influence, control and indeed determine how humans organize their lives, including activities ranging from agricultural practices to the religious beliefs. Everything is being determined by what? It is being determined by environmental factors. You understand this. For example, when we are saying religious belief, you think, when we had very limited control over the vagaries of nature, like rainfall, etc., when we were more living like animals, we couldn't control, we didn't had houses like today's human. Can I say we were so much fearful of the environment that we started to worship these environmental parameters, environmental elements. So, there was rain god, sun god, and this is not common only with India. If you look into the history of religions, it was there. In Greeks, it was there. Fortunately for them, their religion evolved. Unfortunately for us, our religion evolved, but because of the vested interests, those evolved ideas could not become famous. In our religion also, in Hinduism also, there is a philosophy of Advaita, there is monotheism. But it is unfortunate that that is not famous one. Okay? So, if you talk about, they influence, control and indeed determine how humans organize their lives, including activities ranging from agricultural practices to their religious beliefs. This environmental determinism has also been referred as the geographical philosophy or geographical determinism, because it sought to develop generalizations related with the core theme of geography. And what was the core theme of geography? Core theme of geography was this: human environment relationship. Human environment relationship was essentially the core theme of geography. ठीक है? Second, in geography, deterministic philosophy is also manifested in, actually here it is scientific determinism is written. What you do, you just replace this scientific determinism with cultural, economic, हिस्टोरिकल और स्ट्रक्चरल एक ही होता है, बाद में बताऊंगा. इकोनॉमिक, हिस्टोरिकल डिटर्मिनिज्म. ठीक है? वेयर जोग्राफर्स ट्राई टू रिकंस्ट्रक्ट देयर डिसिप्लिन ऑन द लाइन्स ऑफ नेचुरल साइंस, ड्रॉइंग अपॉन द फिलॉसफी ऑफ positivism. Actually यहाँ पर एक 1 minute, actually because we are using the word here positivism, you on natural sciences, can I dictate this paragraph again? Will you be able to write now? Because this paragraph is little bit complicated. There are some sentences missing in this. So can I dictate it? ठीक है, इसको लिखते हैं हम. Please rewrite this this paragraph. Okay. So start writing. Second, comma, in geography, determinism has also manifested in the form of cultural, comma, economic and historical determinism. Historical determinism, comma, where geographers try to explain the phenomena through causal linkages. Explain the phenomena through causal linkages. Full stop. Cultural determinism was attempted by Carl Sawyer. Comma, although he couldn't take it to his goal of developing it like a natural science. Full stop. Thus, determinism in cultural determinism remained more as namesake. Full stop. However, a very important attempt was made by geographers during the quantitative revolution period to base human geography on economic determinism. On economic determinism. Economic determinism. Full stop. They tried to develop human geography like natural sciences. Using the positivistic approach. Using the positivistic approach. So we will see later, positivistic approach is what? Positivism is opposite of idealism, or positivism is essentially realism. So one form of realism is positivism. So they tried to make it more positivistic or realistic. And what they tried to do during this period in economic determinism, we will see that in all these theories which were there, if you read, we will find that there is always one assumption they make. At least one assumption is there. And what is that assumption? Human beings are economically rational. Human beings are economically rational. Okay, tell me, if human beings are economically rational, everyone is economically rational, that means we have no choice. Our only thing is what? To earn money. Only objective of human being is to earn money. Can I say it is not true? Not all people are just after money. Yes or no? Money is one thing, but not all people are just after money. If I was after money, our class, you can see how much humorous actually I can be in the class if I want. Half of our class would have been stories from here and there. And most of the time you would have been laughing. And here I can see now, in the guidance app, only 56 people out of more than 220 people who have enrolled are sitting here. Then it would have been maybe over 200. Our classes would have finished on time. We wouldn't be behind schedule. Everything would be going on very fine. If I was just after money. So not everyone is guided only by money. You cannot say that all human beings are economically rational. But when you say that and you assume that all human beings are economically rational, tell me, have you reduced humanity to one human, economically rational human? Have you reduced humanity? Yes or no? So there is no humanity. You have killed the individual choices. So we will see that this type of geography was tried to be formulated during this period. Like for example, I'll give you one example. We'll see the use of gravity principle. So if human beings are suppose rational, economic rational, very clearly, if suppose you are located at X and here there is this city A which has bigger mass, it has mass is larger, while there is another city B, छोटा सा city है, a town in fact, and this has smaller mass. Tell me towards which you will be attracted if you are just a machine, if you are not a human being. And larger mass can be explained by number of things, like for example, suppose I can explain that in A there is in A more functions being done, more functions are present at A. So you are here X, so you are X, so you will think कि अब A जा रहा हूँ. If you have to buy something, suppose if you have to buy textile, you can buy textile here also, दोनों पे मिल सकता है, but because you are economically rational, so you'll calculate, okay, if I go to A, there is more advantages which I can derive. Maybe along with textile, there is at A, there is mechanic shop, so I'll get my vehicle also checked. Another advantage, there is a big cinema hall, so I'll also watch movie. So economic advantage is greater where? Going to A or B? Tell me. Where is more economic advantage? Going to A. So ultimately, it would say that this idea would evolve as that this part X is essentially falling under the sphere of influence of A. Okay? If you go to this point Y person will not go to A because he will think that the distance has increased, thus cost has increased. So he will always balance out, he will always calculate how much cost, how much advantage. But tell me, real life, does it works like this? Yes, we'll say majority of people would be thinking like this, but can I say that still there can be a situation, हो सकता है this X who is here in this town, उसकी ससुराल हो, or his girlfriend might be living there in B, or some other relationship. So even if he is deriving more economic advantage at A, he is deriving more satisfaction at B, he will go to B, and there you will find many people like this. It is not necessary. Okay? So again, during this period, what geographers tried to do, they tried to formulate human geography as a science. Okay? So suppose if we can say that thus most of the migration would be taking place from X to A, going by this example. Thus, can I say now it can be used, this knowledge can be used to ultimately do planning at A, future planning, because now we know that there would be more migration taking place at A, thus more migrants would be coming in, and ultimately you will have to prepare for the future, you will have to make the infrastructure, provide jobs, and accordingly plan. Okay, so they tried to show that only factor which is determining is the economic factors, and human beings have no behavioral aspects. Okay, so can you understand now economic determinism? Yes or no? Tell me. Why we said economic determinism? आगे बढ़ते हैं, एक और लाइन लिखते हैं लास्ट. Glimpses of determinism are also manifest in the Marxist geography. manifest in the Marxist geography, where the principles propounded by Marx, the principles propounded by Marx in his philosophy of or in his theory भी लिख सकते हो, because it was a theory, historical materialism, in his theory of historical materialism are used to explain contemporary geographical phenomena across the world. Contemporary geographical phenomena across the world. Full stop. Such type of tendency has been referred as historical or structural determinism. Referred as historical or structural determinism. ठीक है. Now this is clear. Tell me. Now this means that if question is asked in the examination on determinism, tell me, can I say I will have to identify that the term determinism that has been used, does it means geographical or environmental determinism, or it would mean general determinism? Yes or no? I have to identify in the question. I'll have to find out by reading the question, trying to understand the question. I'll give you one examples. Like for example, if question is that determinism stands in stark contrast to possibilism. Explain. Or I can ask, determinism and possibilism are contradictory. Other question I can think, philosophy of determinism was base of geography in the first half of 20th century. Elaborate. In both these questions, can you understand that here determinism essentially, even without mentioning it, implies environmental determinism. Okay. On the other hand, if I give example of that second type of question, philosophy of determinism has dominated the paradigms of geography. Paradigms of geography. Discuss. Can you understand now? Or paradigms of modern geography. You can also write modern geography, or even geography will do. Can you understand now what we are saying? If I suppose, just to narrow down our answer, if I just write modern geography, tell me, can I say I will talk about how in the period which was there between 1859 to if you talk about end of 19th century, here it was environmental determinism of German school. People like Ratzel etc. was dominant, yes or no? Then if you talk about the period which was there between from the beginning of 20th century to First World War, can I say environmental determinism of sample, EC sample was dominant, yes or no? Then if we talk about the next period, that is हमने इसको एक पैराडाइम में रखा था, याद है? We talked it as one paradigm. Do you remember early modern? So because यहाँ पे paradigm word use किया है, so you keep both of these in as excuse me early modern. ठीक है. Then we find that the period which was, we call it as the interwar period between First World War and Second World War. Can I say areal differentiation of Hartshorne was dominant, and here again it was environmental determinism which was the base of areal differentiation. It was again based upon environmental determinism. ठीक है. Similarly, if you go beyond this, we enter into the period of 1950 to 1970, the monoparadigmatic phase. Again there was quantitative revolution. It was based upon what? Economic डिटर्मिनिज्म, ठीक है। इनफैक्ट यहां पर जब लिख रहे होगे इंटरवॉर में, तो यू कैन इवन मेंशन अबाउट सॉयर एंड हिज अटेम्प्ट्स टू कंस्ट्रक्ट कल्चरल डिटर्मिनिज्म, ठीक है। सो 50-70 से लेकर देयर वाज इकोनॉमिक डिटर्मिनिज्म, देन if you talk about 70 to late 80s, again here we find that, if you remember, radical geography was one of the paradigms. So the main radical geography was Marxist geography, and just now we saw Marxist geography was based upon historical or structural determinism. Historical or structural determinism, ठीक है। There is a break, but more or less we can say that since late 90s to present, there was a crisis period. No paradigms were there during that period, so we are not taking that into account. So the latest paradigm which is there, it is environmentalism, and we will see that environmentalism is essentially another form of environmental determinism. बाद में हम उसको पढ़ेंगे तो we'll see that is nothing but a kind of environmental determinism. So there is still this philosophy of environmental determinism which is the base of environmentalism. ठीक है. So can you see, when the question was different, I interpreted the question in a different manner. So when I am reading the question in the exam, I will read determinism. I will try to find out whether what type of meaning here the term determinism carries, whether it is simply restrictive form of determinism which is normally used in geography as geographical or environmental determinism, or here the determinism word has been used more broadly. ठीक है. So whether it has been narrowly used or broadly used. Can you remember this much? This is where your answers, suppose if the third question, philosophy of determinism has dominated the paradigms of modern geography discussed, comes, this is where you will get so much edge over the others. ठीक है. But suppose फालतू में, even if the question is asking narrow sense, and just to show the examiner कि भाई मेरे को पता है, I am like king of geography, you try to put the broader meaning, you can very clearly understand you can also be penalized for that. And whenever you have this tendency to show off, always remember, as I said before, that empty vessels make more noises. The people who have real power, real knowledge, they are always very simple, they are always very silent. They will use their power, they will use their knowledge only when it is required. ठीक है. So this is how the environmental determinism and determinism has developed. So I hope I have cleared how the determinism has developed in geography. So now it is from here on, the discussion is more on the first type, that is environmental determinism. So can we take some little bit more time, 10-15 minutes? At least let us finish environmental determinism here, because now we are coming to the dichotomy dualism. ठीक है. Now here we are coming to dichotomy dualism part. And when we are talking about the dichotomy dualism part, I have to talk about determinism versus possibilism dichotomy. So essentially it means which determinism? Its full form would be environmental determinism versus possibilism dichotomy. Okay? So here we are talking about environmental determinism. So you can see Ratzel in his book Anthropogeography 1 developed the philosophy of scientific determinism. Okay? And when I am using this scientific determinism, tell me, here can I say one word is missing because it has been used more loosely? What is that term missing? Scientific environmental determinism, it should have been. Okay? But because, as I said, environmental determinism has been loosely referred to as the determinism, here it is simply written scientific determinism. So which had distinct influence of Newtonian cause-effect relationship and Darwin's evolutionary theory. He projected his determinism on scientific lines. In the case of evolution of species, human is similar to other animals. You know, we are also simply product of evolution. We are not different from other animals, other species. So like the biological laws apply to other species, same biological laws also apply to us. Like for example, if you talk about mammals, normally when mammals evolve, their lifetime is around 5 to 10 million years. So one species of mammals, what they do, they would survive for 5 to 10 million years and ultimately they would become extinct. Okay? So can I say that once humans would have completed this 5 to 10 million years, it is but natural that they would also become extinct? Yes or no? Tell me. It is but natural that they would become ultimately extinct. And you know, the things which we are doing already, we are accelerating the process of our doom. Okay? Okay, chalo, so many people are saying that it is enough, LS people have long class. So I also think it is enough because ये सभी concepts बहुत complicated हैं. Again remember, I am saying this, if you do not revise what we studied today, again tomorrow you will forget and confuse. Many times students come to me and say that I am unable to understand. समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. And okay, there might be some exceptions, etc. But the way I explain, I know very well that if you just pay attention, most of the things you will be able to understand. And why you are unable to link? Reason is simple. You did not revise. You have forgot the concepts, and that is why you are making mistakes as we reach to the later topics. Here also human geography, I'll make it very logical for you. So step by step we'll be moving on. Already हमने एक base बना लिया है. So step by step we'll move on and we'll see. But if you forget the previous one, you can be rest assured that you will not get full out of the next class. How cultural determinism came after possibilism, please. Cultural determinism was a specific term which was used by for the work which was done by Carl Sawyer. And we know Carl Sawyer academic career is the interwar period. The term possibilism emerged during Vidal, the French school, in the late 19th century. Okay. So, the type of study which was being done by Carl Sawyer, because he wanted to, do you remember we talked about that Sawyer, what he wanted to do? He wanted to find a natural theory of how a natural landscape is converting to a cultural landscape. He wanted to actually discover a law that how this conversion is taking place. Okay. So, that is why we call that cultural study as cultural determinism study. Kai saying from the LS group, I am not revising at all as I have state PCS prelims on 1st November. How many times we can watch the video? I need to watch these videos again. Again, it is LS. I think it is available for you for sufficient time. So, you can watch there. That is not a problem. But yeah, I think if you just give 1 hour in revision of what we have done, it would be enough, and 1 hour fast even revision can do if you understood in the class. So, don't make excuses of prelims, etc. All these exams would keep on coming and going. No, I will not say Surjit about stop and go determinism of Griffith Taylor, because stop and go determinism will come at a particular time. So, I am not going to speak about that. I just made a sequence of how we will be moving. Okay, so wait for those things. Wait for determinism topic to finish. If I don't cover, then you say. Okay. So, I will stop for today. Good night. We will meet tomorrow. Again, I am saying, reminding you, this is the base of geography. जिसका ये टॉपिक, person whose this topic is covered, he will be like very, very good in geography. One of the reasons I am so much good in geography is this topic. ठीक है? Okay, good night to all of you.